Well, hello, Dr. Scott Harrington. How are you today?
Hi, Kim. Hi, Kim. Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm doing well.
That's great. Your name, do you get patients from your name, Dr. Scott Harrington? Because you sound like something from Dynasty.
Oh, no, I don't. y- you know, that's why I changed the name of my business to Vegan Primary Care because I didn't think that very many people knew that Scott Harrington or I think there's actually some ball players or a hockey player or something or golfer or something, so I get mixed up a little bit.
Okay. Well, I know that you are a busy doctor, so I have a ton of questions for you. So I first wanted to ask you, what path led you to becoming a vegan physician?
Well, I started as a family doc in the Army. I went to West Point and they paid for my way to go to school and great training. But my vegan origin story was that in the Army, they make you run, and I was gaining 1 or 2 pounds a year on the, high protein kind of, standard diet. And I needed to lose weight by the time I was 35. And so I tried to, eat less portions and exercise more. And man, I basically failed. I couldn't do it. And I felt like a hypocrite because I told all my patients, oh, you got to lose weight and this and that. So
Yeah.
I was looking for ways to lose weight. And that's when I saw this movie called Forks Over Knives.
Oh, my favorite movie.
Yeah. So that really inspired me. And from there, I just went, I call it cold carrot. I went all the way. I just went totally vegan and everything seemed to improve. And so since then, I joke around that if you stub your toe, I recommend the plant-based diet for your toe.
All right. And why is that?
Well, I joke around because it seems to be good for everything. Like it helped my blood pressure, helped my cholesterol, helped my hormones, like my testosterone went up, acne gone, constipation. So I joke around that, hey, it's good for everything.
Yeah, and I believe that too. So what do you think? So I'm a vegetarian for the last 11 and a half years, and I was vegan for a while. Then I got sick with some weird virus about 3 years ago, and my stomach was having issues, and I was going to doctors. I kept losing weight, and so they were giving me stuff like yogurt and stuff like that. So I'm still doing that a little bit. I have to admit it. But anyway, I've done vegan for a while. But what do you think the most common question I get is when I tell people I'm a vegetarian? What's the
Where
most
do you get your
common?
protein?
There. Yeah. So can you tell everybody where you get your protein?
Yeah, there's lots of ways to handle this. It's like, well, um, people might be worried they're going to shrivel up and die. And like you say, well, some of the biggest animals, the largest animals are vegan. I guess you could say like an elephant or a cow or a gorilla who could rip your head off if he wanted to. Really strong, robust animals. So yeah, so you get it where the animals get their protein from is from plants, and that's where the protein comes from. Whether you're eating plants or eating other animals who eat plants. So but yeah, one of the biggest concerns is the amount of protein. And I think there is some common misconceptions about this. And let's go over it
Yeah.
right now. Let's get
Yes.
into the weeds. So there's an article about a review article about how the protein numbers were established, and they've come to determine about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of something called ideal body weight, which what we can think of as lean body mass. It's not really an ideal you're trying to shoot for. It's like the muscle mass on your body, and it's usually based on height. So you go and you figure out the ideal body weight with this little calculator online, and it'll be in kilograms. So it's 0.8 grams per kilogram of this ideal body weight number. And for most people, that's between 40 and 50 grams of protein per day. And this is a max. This is like a max that you want to get. You don't need to go over it. It doesn't confer any benefit to you. So,
What
and
about
so in the muscle magazines, they'll say like gram per pound of body weight, which pounds is 2.2 pounds per kilogram. So automatically it's like a double. And then they'll say 1 gram, which is more than the 0.8. So they kind of overshoot by a lot.
So what about people who exercise a lot and are convinced they need protein powder?
Don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, now protein, just think of it as calorie powder. So now sometimes, the biggest thing I have bodybuilders, I have, people who are trying to gain weight. And the biggest problem with them is to get enough calories, because when you eat a vegan diet or really high bulky diet and it's low calorie, it's hard to get as many calories as you need to try to maintain how much you lost from doing intense exercise. So you can think of it as calorie powder, a convenience food to try to get in as many calories as you need. But yeah, you don't have to eat protein powder, because just a standard diet of, if you include grains and beans, you're already there, 40, 50 grams of protein normally in a normal diet.
Yeah. So bodybuilders don't need all that extra protein.
Not necessarily protein. They need enough calories to maintain, to
I
match their output. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That makes so much sense. So do you need meat to live?
No. I mean, when you're a baby, you need breast milk. And then once you can eat food. Now there are no like indigenous populations that are vegan. They eat what they can survive on, whatever they have around them. And so that may include meat. But for the most part, when they hear about the Paleolithic ancestors and stuff like this, you imagine someone just like hunting and, eating nothing but meat, but probably most of it was foraging for whatever plant foods they could eat, and then supplementing with meats and stuff as well, and lean times. And so you definitely don't need it to survive. There, you can look, and there's vegan athletes who are crushing it, winning gold medals. And there's that movie Game Changers. It's really one that I thought everyone would basically go vegan once they saw that. And
I don't know if I saw that one. Game Changers, huh?
Game Changers.
I missed that.
You'll love that one. There is a part of it is kind of geared towards men. You gotta admit, because they go over a bean burrito versus a chicken burrito, and they go over. I'm kind of ruining the.
That's all right.
I'll leave it at that, and then they evaluate them and see how their performance is.
Wow. Okay. So what if you're pregnant? Do you need? Somebody had recently told me that their doctor told them, because they were pregnant, that they had to go back on meat because they were pregnant. Does that make sense?
No, that's not true. There's definitely absolutely not. You don't have to do that. There are some nutrients of concern. There's some nutrients of concern. And one kind of nutrient of concern in pregnancy, it's something that I hadn't really heard too much about, but is choline. Choline is a little bit higher on a plant, on an animal product, a diet that includes animal products. So, and you have to forgive me because I'm not remembering the number of milligrams of choline, but I do recommend that for my pregnant vegan patients to take a choline supplement. All vegans need to take B12, and even folks who are not vegan should consume B12 or make sure they're getting B12, check their B12. It comes from bacteria, but B12 can be really problematic with pregnant women. And that's because your body can, use its B12 stores. And then when you're breastfeeding, if your baby is not getting, if you're vegan and you don't feed your baby B12 fortified foods or supplementation, they're just getting it from you, and they can get a B12 deficiency, once they stop breastfeeding. And if you're not like here, like watching and providing some sort of B12 supplement, whether through a spray or that sort of thing, that can be problematic. And they're forming and growing, and it can be a B12 deficiency in adult is kind of less like timely and concerning. It can develop over years, and it can just but so that's the big key in pregnancy. Make sure you're taking during pregnancy and you're not deficient. And then because you'll have a higher need for it, and then make sure that you're giving it to your baby, especially once you stop breastfeeding, with a spray or something like that.
Yeah. Now, since we're talking about supplements, what do you think about supplements?
Well, when I started a vegan diet, my goal was to eat a whole food plant-based diet,
Yeah.
devoid of salt, oil, or sugar, and get everything I needed from the plant-based diet. And I was even cavalier about B12, but I was low. I became low. It took a couple of
Yeah.
years. I became low in B12. And so you got to supplement B12. That's just one thing. Now, vitamin D is the next one. I am a super fair person. I burn if I even see the sun practically. And so my sister is a dermatology PA and cuts cancers off people all day long. And so I really use vitamin D through supplementation as opposed to trying to get it from the sun. Now, there's controversy there on a lot of people, a lot of so the vegan doctors some will say, well, it's better to get the sun because maybe there's other effects that we're getting from it that we're not even that science doesn't know yet. But for me, I'm doing 2,000 units, international units of vitamin D. If I'm getting a lot of sun, and if I'm not getting very much sun at all, I will go shift to 5,000 international units of vitamin D.
Yeah.
Taken on and with food because it's lipid soluble, so you got to have some fat in the meal. Where the B12 is on an empty stomach.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I take 4,000 because I've been taking it like that for years. I was 5,000, now I'm 4,000. I went down to 2,000, but then I needed to go back up to 4,000 because I wasn't optimal. So yeah, and I'll go out in the sun for like 2 minutes just to get the vitamin D. But I've had problems with my skin with, going to the derm. So I know what the sun can do to you. So I just get it from supplementation too. So can you talk about inflammation, maybe from meat or sugar, or what it does to you if you have inflammation?
Yeah. Inflammation, of course, is it's kind of a broad topic. The body's always kind of has this sort of balance. You need some inflammation for wounds and healing and this kind of thing. But when inflammation goes awry, when you're inflamed, constantly inflamed, usually I think about stress and diet that's high in foods that are inflammatory foods, high in fried, oxidized, lipids and oils and greasy foods, high in toxins, potentially heavy metals. When you're eating fish that are high on the food chain, for instance, they might be bioaccumulating like the mercury and from the little fish that they eat, from the sea, they all accumulate up into those big carnivorous fish. So you could be getting potential toxins from that. There's also environmental things that you worry about a little bit, but one of the things when you're eating plant foods, you're eating low on the food chain, so the likelihood of that bioaccumulation is a lot lower. It's a lot. So you don't get as many, even if you're eating like Roundup Ready GMO soy or something, spray Roundup all over it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you would almost get less from that than some animal that was eating the animals that ate the Roundup Ready soy around the area, because they would bioaccumulate those pesticides. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe if you have a specific inflammation question, but eating a diet rich in whole foods greatly reduces your kind of burden of inflammatory toxins and things that you would consume.
Yeah, I just thought of something else. I know what you're going to say. What do you think about fake meat and cheese?
Fake meat is great. It's great for transitioning and great for if you don't want to look too weird at a barbecue or something like that. So, you don't want to lose all your friends, but gosh, in the Pacific Northwest, they've got so many cool, fake meats and sausages and vegan version for everything. So it's fun. But in general, the fake meats, they're usually not made of like beans and mushrooms and rice. It's usually made of some sort of tofu or or high in oil, like a fake cheese or something's going to be high in some sort of vegetable oil. In general, these are rich foods and you want to be careful. You just want to use them as treats or transition foods and not use them as a cornerstone of your diet.
Yeah, and I know that they now put pea protein And my favorite is the Beyond Burger, but I don't eat very much of it. I tried the Beyond Sausage, which tastes just like sausage, but I started getting indigestion from it and stomach aches. And I don't know if it was from the extra pea protein or what was different between the sausage and the burger. I don't know, but I was just wondering how you felt about fake products like that.
Well, it's weird. Once you start getting off some of the high fat and rich foods, you start to realize that when you eat a really fatty meal, it really, that's a big trigger for heartburn and indigestion and just, and so when you're eating the fake meats and cheeses, it's usually you're up in the fat percent a lot in your food.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's interesting. Yeah. So do you cook your food? Do you eat it raw? Do you have both? What's the best thing to have?
Yeah, so many of my patients who are raw vegans seem to be very healthy and very, vigorous and, but I like to include grains and beans in my diet. So they're not raw foods. The grains and beans have such amount of high fiber and such, a lot of nutrients. And so I'm including those, and they've got great sort of data of population, to include these in your diet. So I don't go fully raw, but if you're ever trying to lose weight, oh my gosh, going fully raw, it's hard when you're fully raw to meet your daily calories without really just eating your, full-time eating, and so if you didn't include nuts and if you didn't include dried fruit, you'd be losing weight pretty much. There's avocado, that's kind of high in calories, but if you want to do like a raw food for like a week or two, you could shed 5-10 pounds, no problem.
Interesting. So do you think that this plant-based diet can help reverse disease?
Absolutely. We have evidence for that. We have great studies. That is really what kind of convinced me 100% and to go all the way was the evidence by Dean Ornish and Dr. Esselstyn that showed that you can reverse coronary artery disease, our number one killer. So there's another doctor, Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Greger, who runs nutritionfacts.org. And one of the quotes that he says is, if we can reverse coronary artery disease with a plant-based diet, it should be the number one diet until proven otherwise, because it's our largest killer. And so we should all just be on the plant-based diet and until we've got evidence to the contrary. And right now we don't. So it's low in cholesterol, low in inflammation. And Dean Ornish not only proved that you could reverse coronary artery disease, but you can reverse low-grade prostate cancer, which was important.
I don't know if I knew that. Wow.
These were men who were found to have prostate cancer of sort of low grade, but they opted to not have surgery. And so they were put into this study for, let's try this plant-based diet. And they were able to show reversal. So that's impressive. Dean Ornish is working on an Alzheimer's study. And he also did like an aging type study on the DNA where they showed a reversal of cellular aging by lengthening the telomeres, the little ends of the chromosomes, with the plant-based diet. So that was pretty impressive.
Oh gosh, yeah, more needs to be done with that, I think.
Right.
Yeah. And what's the best way to boost immunity?
There are a few tricks, like they talk about eating mushrooms, a quarter cup of mushrooms, white button mushrooms or shiitakes or any type of mushroom, cooked or raw, increases your the antibodies in your mucous membranes. So it's more of a preventative thing. But one of the best ways to improve your immunity is to avoid taxing your immunity and avoid an inflammatory diet, like you said, and eating a whole food plant-based diet.
Yeah.
Dr. Furman, he's another.
I was just going to mention him.
Yeah,
he's a nutritarian.
Wrote a book called Super Immunity, and his sort of focus is to have as much nutrients as you can in each bite. divided by the number of calories. So in the fewest amount of calories, the highest nutrients. So you get the most nutrient bang for your buck out of your foods, and therefore kind of give your body the most building blocks and things that it would need in a natural form. So
Yeah,
that's what
he's my favorite guy.
yeah.
I love his stuff. He is so good. His daughter too just came out with a new book, Talia Furman, and
Oh man,
it's a
they're great.
cookbook. Oh my gosh, they're fantastic. What do you think about using an Instant Pot? Do you ever use one?
I love it. I just used it on Father's Day. We made tamales.
Oh,
Tamales. Fun. It was, I always wanted to make vegan tamales. I love the Instant Pot. I'm kind of new to it, but one of the things I was trying to turn myself onto is various whole grains, like oat groats instead of regular steel
yes,
cut, or buckwheat or
yes.
sorghum, all these different things. It's kind of, we want to expand our palates, expand the different fibers we get in. And it's fun to have an instant pot so that you can cook those with a reasonable amount of time instead of like on the stove forever.
Yeah, I thought of it when you mentioned mushrooms because I Instant Pot like 2 things of mushrooms every week and we eat them every day and they taste like they've been sauteed and it's only steamed with water in the Instant Pot. I Instant Pot all of my veggies and it's so easy and so easy to clean up. So I don't know if you've done that before, but oh my goodness, it's the greatest thing ever invented.
Man, no, I haven't. I used it mostly for I made a chili in it one time. That was cool.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to see that recipe. I've done the chili. I mean, it's very hard to make chili when you're plant-based with an Instant Pot. And so I tried different things and I actually did put the what do you call it? The Beyond Burger in it.
Yeah.
And people loved it. They didn't even know. I mean, you don't know that it's not real. Yeah. But other than that, I haven't made it. It hasn't tasted good when I've done it without the meat. But I do make a lot of soups in the Instant Pot, lentil soup, cauliflower soup. It's the greatest gadget ever.
I do love it. Yeah. Speaking of gadgets, the other gadget I like is I think they call it the Silpat. Silpat. It's like a silicone mat.
What is that? Oh, tell me.
It's like, we want to try to avoid a bunch of oil, and instead of spraying a bunch of oil, using a bunch of oil on a baking sheet, you just put this Silpat silicone mat. You just slap it down, throw the veggies right on there, no oil, toss it in, and then just rinse it off, and you can use it again. It's a non-stick kind of thing. It's really great.
And so it's not dangerous to eat something off of it.
As far as I know. I guess more to follow if I, grow a second, eyeball or something.
I thought, well, you're the doctor, because we've seen those silicone muffin pans. I was always scared to use them because I'm thinking, is this going to cause a problem if I eat something out of this silicone? But since you eat off a silicone mat, it must be safe.
Well, a lot of the vegan royalty doctors are mention that that's what they use. And so I kind of I have not seen evidence that it contains a toxin. So like, for instance, some of the nonstick pans that as the Teflon and stuff starts to peel up, it's supposed to be toxic for you. So you want to avoid that. But.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I know you have to go because you have a patient. So is there anything else? Is there any advice you'd like to give our listeners?
Wow. Well, hey, you can start to feel like you're a lone ranger if you're doing this. And so, go online and find your community, find your niche. And, you want to try to, I say, get brainwashed a little bit, watch a couple of those documentaries, and whether you want to do it for ethical reasons, for, helping the animals, or whether you want to do it for environmental reasons, or for your health, find a reason, find out why you're doing it, and then don't look back. And if you ever need advice, you can see me at Vegan Primary Care, but you may not ever have to see a doctor because you'll be so healthy.
And tell me about your practice really quickly. You see people online 4 days a week, and then in your office in Tampa, 1 day a week. Is that correct?
That's correct. I really wanted to have a fully online business, and I have over 30 licenses, mostly, from the Mississippi West, and but also in Florida, soon to be in Georgia and Massachusetts as well. So you can just go on Vegan Primary Care and you can see the where I'm at. But yeah, I can be people's primary care provider through telemedicine and order labs and referrals and medications and do that kind of thing. Yes, I can't listen to your heart through the screen, but if you have, like for females, I recommend a local GYN, and together, we kind of can take care of everything.
Wow, I love this idea. There's not many of you around.
No, I'm kind of a unicorn. There's also plant-based telehealth. I'll give them a plug, plant-based telehealth.
Oh.
They do more of a consult service, like you want to be seen one time. And my niche is kind of the ongoing care.
I love that. Well, you may have a couple new patients.
Washington. I am in Washington and Oregon and Idaho and all the states, Alaska, Hawaii, California, all those states out there out the west.
Oh, great. And people can find you on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram and any other place we can find you? I think
veganprimarycare.com and so Facebook and Instagram are both Vegan Primary Care. Twitter, it's longer than 15 letters, so it's Vegan Primary Doc.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll put that all in the show notes so people can link to you right from there.
Didn't want to be Vegan Primary Car, so
That's another thing altogether. Yeah. All right, well, I know you have a patient, so I'll let you go. Thank you so much for coming, and please come back because I have a lot more questions.
I would love to. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, bye.